Cannon with the Traveling Cannonball. Today we're going to talk about religion in India. Now, if you haven't watched my previous video about India, 5 things you need to know before you go, I'm going to link that and you should make sure that you watch it because that gives you an important overview about India. And like in that video, I'm going to point out that I spent a little less than 2 weeks in India, and while I got to spend a lot of time with an Indian family, and by a family I mean the extended family, I still am absolutely no expert in this, and I make an apology for any mistakes that I may make. Now, part of why we're going to talk about religion today is because if you've been following the Traveling Cannonball on Instagram, Facebook, or even if you watched our last YouTube video, you know that I went to India for a wedding. And weddings are a combination of cultural aspects and religious aspects. And really, religion infiltrates its way all throughout a society. Now, in my last video, one of the things that I pointed out that you need to know is that India is a very diverse country. And so there are a number of religions in India. Now, the number one religion that we think about when we think about India is Hinduism. And it's true, there is a lot of Hinduism in India, and I visited a number of really awesome Hindu temples. There are amazing cultural pieces of art, bronze work, techniques that were developed for building these temples, and just a lot of amazing architecture. And I'm going to actually devote an entire video to the temples in Tamil Nadu that I saw, which I did only see 3 of them, and I did only see Tamil Nadu. And so back to that diversity piece, the different states are also very diverse. Then you also have Christians. They are mostly Catholic. And I even stopped in Pondicherry and we saw a shrine for Saint Bernadette of Lourdes. And so this shrine had both a church as well as a pond of holy water. And the interesting thing that we learned when we went to the shrine is that this holy water is actually flown in from France. And Saint Bernadette is from Lourdes, France. And so that's why they fly the holy water in from France. Then, in addition to Hindus and Christians, in Tamil Nadu, you'll also see a lot of Muslims. Now, I have to admit that this surprised me. I knew that Pakistan had been previously part of India, and that at around the time of independence, Pakistan was created into its own state for Muslims, but I didn't realize how many Muslims were still in India today. And so in Tamil Nadu, I saw a number of Muslims women walking down the street with non-Muslim women, and I saw a lot of good interrelationships amongst them. And I also heard the calls of prayer from a couple of different local mosques. I heard it both from my hotel and also from the home of the groom. So there's a really nice interplay in Tamil Nadu between these 3 religions. One of the most interesting things that I encountered that shows this blend of religions was when I visited the city of Madurai. And the last king in Madurai was a Hindu king, but he built his palace to really represent and honor Christianity, Hinduism, and Islam. And he did this in a number of different ways. For example, he put the pillars that you see here to represent Christianity, but then he used the Hindu symbols that you see here, and he used the archways that have to do with Muslims. Also, the towers you can see that there is the shape that you'll see a lot with Islam. Very similar to like the Taj Mahal, these sort of shapes in the Taj Mahal. Next. Now, in addition to that, there are a few more religions in India. One of the things that I learned from the father of the groom while I was there is that Buddhism was actually founded in India, but while it has a lot of similarities to Hinduism, it never really took a lot of root in India. Rather, Hinduism remained dominant. In addition, in the state of Punjab, which I did not yet make it to, the primary religion there is Sikhism. And I know when I've traveled, I saw some sheiks. You can recognize the male sheiks because of the turbans on their heads. And then there's also Jainism. Now, I was a little bit confused by Jainism. On my flight from London to Mumbai, we were served an entirely vegetarian cuisine. But I overheard a flight attendant asking a man if he had ordered the Jain diet. And sure enough, he had. So when I got to Trichy, I asked my friends about Jainism. I'm like, if everything was already vegetarian, then why did they have a separate Jain diet? And what I came to learn is that the Jains are very careful about harming any other animals. And so apparently even when they walk like through fields, they use a peacock feather. Peacocks, by the way, are indigenous to India, to brush away any insects so that they don't walk on them. And they do not eat root vegetables because the insects will make their home among the roots, and they don't want to harm any of the insects. In addition, my research also showed me that, interestingly enough, Jains will eat milk and cheese, but they will not eat honey or eggs. And that's because eggs have the potential to become a living animal, and honey can result in harm to bees. And so they're very serious about this. And so that's why, even though it was an entirely vegetarian meal, there was still a special Jain diet. Now, in one of the future videos, I'm going to show you some really cool temples that I visited in India. They are going to have their own video because I just feel that that's going to make this one too long. And like I said, next week, we're going to actually look at the wedding that I went to. We're going to look at things that are specific to it being in India and what made it unique. I found it a really fascinating experience, and I was blessed with the opportunity to really speak to a number of relatives of the family and ask questions and learn about why different things were being done, including several things that surprised me. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, I suggest that you do so that you do not miss any of those upcoming videos. And until next week, goodbye.